It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Boy, I am starting to really like Fridays. I get up, I get my coffee made, and I look for Fridays with Frank. And there I was today on the computer. I see Fridays with Frank. I'm so excited because what's he doing? He's talking about HP Amplify again. Folks, I'm sure there'll be another article written about why are we still talking about HP Amplify? Well, Frank thinks we ought to be talking about it. Bob Goldberg thinks we ought to be talking about it. Hell, I've been talking about it for almost a year now. The realities of it is, my friends, I think I need to start another revolution. Maybe we need to have the HP Amplify revolution. You know, I started that A4 revolution back in 2018. Look where that thing's going. Hell, Frank had an episode on respected A4. That's fantastic. Here he is, folks. Here's Frank Canada. I'm starting to love this guy more and more every day. He's got Bob Goldberg, he's got Scott Cohen. They're talking about Amplify. They're talking about some of the concerns of Amplify. I do want to do a big shout out to Scott Cohen. He put an article out there, Spotlight on Amplify. Probably one of the best articles I've read so far around Amplify. One of the best ones. Dug a little bit deeper. One of the things I didn't like about the article answer from HP, I mean, I like the article, but HP gave an answer in there I thought was questionable at best. And it was around, you know, how are you dealing with the resellers that are upset about Amplify? And the comment was, well, you know, if we have dealers that are upset, they're acting like there's not a whole lot of people upset. If we have a dealer that's upset, you know, they're probably thinking there's only, let us think there's only a couple of these folks around the world that are even upset. But when we have a dealer that's upset, we meet with them personally. We talk about this. Okay, here's the deal, folks. I can imagine you could meet with your dealers personally about specific things in their marketplace. Maybe you're working on a deal together or something. That could be a private meeting. We're talking about a global contract. A contract that's supposed to be good for all resellers to help you move your products. And now you're telling the whole world you got to have parking lot meetings, individual meetings with dealers because they're upset about it. What are you telling those dealers? Folks, this is what's disturbing. This is what's disturbing. I mean, I guess the meeting, if you're a really big dealer, is probably a really nice meeting. You get a bottle of wine, you probably get some really nice food, a big steak. If you're a smaller dealer, you know, what kind of meeting are you having? Well, I can talk to you through Zoom from 9 to 9:10. You see, ladies and gentlemen, it seems to me if they had a contract that everybody thought was a good contract, they wouldn't have to have these private meetings to begin with. I don't like private meetings around contracts. I think that's crazy. It's kind of like too secretive. What the hell are you talking about? Anyway, here's the deal, folks. This Amplify thing concerns me, and obviously I've been screaming about it for a long time. But today, there's a lawsuit that was out, hit the press yesterday. And I want to talk about this lawsuit. Yes, it's with HP, of course. But I want to talk about this lawsuit and how I believe this lawsuit shows even more reasons for caution for dealers to give any OEM the data, their private customer data. So without any further ado, I have a picture of the gavel banging on the judge's desk to emphasize there is a lawsuit. It's being filed by HP shareholders. It's a derivative action. Folks, I'm not a lawyer. It's a complicated lawsuit. I'm going to read some highlights of it. There was an article that was published, 365 Law. The publisher was Emily Rusco. This is a fantastic article, and it should bring a screaming awareness to dealers to pay attention to what their OEMs are asking them for. And see, when you think about data, ladies and gentlemen, you're thinking about it today. Well, I'm giving them my customer's name and phone number. I mean, who cares about that? They can figure that out. You know, folks, here's the deal. When you're giving away data, the data collector is thinking of ways and using that data that you can't even imagine, and I talked about this before. The data is your data, protected at all costs. And I'm going to give you some examples that I can imagine based on this lawsuit that might actually scare the hell out of you. And maybe that'll make you start asking your OEMs a little more tougher questions, if you will. So let's just highlight, I'm gonna have to read some of this, you know, so bear with me. I'm just going to read the opening paragraph of this because it kind of sets the tone. A shareholder of office technology company HP Inc. has filed a derivative action against 16 of the company's current and former executives and directors, claiming they breached their fiduciary duties by failing to disclose sales practices that would eventually cause an erosion of profit. Sales practice that would eventually cause an erosion of profits. These are the executives of HP. The lawsuit claims we're doing some things that would cause an erosion of profits. So the first thing I want to do is get my my magic board working here from Sharp. I got to get my pen out, and I got the red ink because we're talking about erosion of profits. That's not a good thing. Let me continue reading. In the action filed Monday in federal court in Delaware, plaintiff Scott Franklin alleged that days after HP spun off from Hewlett-Packard in November 2015, the company's brass started misrepresenting the sales strategies to investors. So here you got this shareholder. Hey, right after we sold that HP, remember they split it up? You got HP Enterprise, you got HP Inc., the print sector's in HP Inc., the personal systems, HP Inc., okay? So as soon as that all got split up, we start, making stuff up. Boy, that's not good. Let me go on and read some more. According to Franklin, the allegedly improper practices took place in the company's revenue-driving supplies division, which sells printer, ink, and toner. Franklin said that before HP's spinoff, Hewlett-Packard had relief on the division's high profit margins to generate funds it invested in other divisions within its printing segment. So let me just kind of recap that in Ray language. The supply business was so lucrative, when HP was all one company, that they would take some of those profits and they would move those to help the other parts of the print business. Nothing really wrong with that. They're kind of investing. That's what they're doing. It makes sense. You're making all this money over here. Let's give some of that money over here and kind of invest it. So let's go on. Franklin claims that when the spinoff, the company became smaller. It created more responsibility for the supplies divisions to pull more than its own weight, which in turn put pressure on the managers within the division to use improper sales techniques. I got to circle this. Improper sales techniques, such as selling in other sales teams. Selling in other sales teams, remember that, my friends. It's going to come in handy. Selling in other sales teams, regions, and offering steep discounts. Steep discounts in the end to boost quarterly sales. So ladies and gentlemen, think about this. Remember the video I did with the pressure cooker? And I said eventually the pressure has to escape. And if it keeps building up, building up, building up, building up, it doesn't have a way to escape, it'll just blow up. Well, there was pressure. HP spun off the HP Inc. business. Now they're on their own, HP Inc. Pressure on the supply business. Hey, you got to make a lot of profit. I mean, the personal business they have. Remember that video I did? What is it running? Like 5% operating margin? Not real good. Not room for a whole lot of mistakes. So the margins have to be in the ink and the supplies. Otherwise, the shareholders are going to get all freaked out, right? So what are we doing to increase our margins for the shareholders' appeasement? These are the questions that they're asking in the lawsuit because it looks like they were doing some unscrupulous things. Let's read a little bit more. These improper sales techniques made it appear that the supplies division was meeting its budget, but would eventually backfire and reduce profit margins worldwide, Franklin contends. It backfired. Folks, I got to tell you, this is disturbing. Between the spinoff and the filing of the suit, Franklin alleged HP's brass gave the investing public positive financial results, but did not disclose the true driver behind these temporary positive results. Temporary positive results. Remember the video I did a little while back and I talked about the subscriptions? Remember? I said if they sold all these subscriptions, how are they booking the revenue on that? I just asked the questions. I'm not alleging anything. I'm asking a question. Maybe HP can put it in the comments of the video. When the customer signs up for the $1.99 for 3 years, do they count the $1.99 for the 36 months and count that as revenue? And then the customer cancels the subscription, 6 months later, do they back out the revenue? Does that temporary look good for the shareholders? Folks, just like I did the video with Konica a couple of days ago, we got to start digging deep into these numbers and asking some damn questions. So now let's put this in perspective with Amplify. We got salespeople that already proved in the corporation's history that if they're under pressure, they'll do unscrupulous things, allegedly. So now let me paint a picture for you. You got a really big dealer here in the United States, and he's doing business with HP. They've had the secret meetings. They went to the dinners and drank the wine. We're all excited. We'll sign that Amplify contract. We're going to give you all the data you want. Have fun with us. Let's help us get richer. Everybody's happy, right? And now you got a dealer over in Europe. And let's say that dealer over in Europe tells his HP rep, hey, I'm going to move to the U.S. and open up an office in ABC company. And that dealer says, oh, we have a really big partner in that company. Yeah, but I do a whole lot of business in Europe. I'm a lot bigger than that person, and you're going to help me in that marketplace, aren't you? Well, maybe that sales rep's unscrupulous. And maybe he's got a really good relationship with a sales rep in your marketplace where your guy's coming. And maybe that sales rep gives information to that sales rep. Now all of you are saying, oh, Ray, come on, that's too crazy. That'll never happen. I mean, you're just making stuff up. You know, there's firewalls there. Ladies and gentlemen, your data is your data, and you better imagine all possibilities in ways it can be used against you. Your data is your data, and you better imagine all kinds of ways it can be used against you before you just give it away, regardless of how good that bottle of wine was at your secret meeting. Because, ladies and gentlemen, HP's proved here, allegedly. We'll see how the lawsuit pans out, but this is all alleged. But you know what? Are you going to gamble your data on whether that lawsuit's wrong? I sure as hell would be gambling my data. These are things we need to think about, and I'm so glad that Frank Canada, has highlighted think about what he's done so far. He's done 2 videos on HP Amplified. He's brought Bob Goldberg on his show. I've had Bob Goldberg on. We've been talking about this, screaming from the top of the hills about it. Dealers, it's up to you. It's up to you. But when HP clearly defines that they meet with dealers privately if there's a problem with a contract that's a global contract, that alone would scare the hell out of me. Because some of the dealers aren't near as big as some of the other ones. And are we going to get into a game where the big people are going to beat up the little people? Just something to think about. Are we going to get into a game where we got different territories of HP using information from their territory to help this territory? I mean, folks, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. When you got salespeople in other territories, giving discounts and beating out other sales reps within HP, this is what's going on. They're fighting with each other amongst themselves, trying to show profit, trying to show better results. They're under pressure. The pressure started leaking, and it leaked in a way that's not, acceptable to shareholders. These are things we need to think about. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we all know this. Status quo is the killer of all that will be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo. I can't wait to see you all on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend.